Hello everyone and welcome back to the NJH Beats YouTube channel. Today I am going to go over Serato Sample from start to finish. As far as I'm aware of the things that it does. I might miss a few things here and there, I don't know, but I'm going to do that to the best of my ability. For most of you, I think this video would not be useful. I think this is probably useful for beginners or someone who's just never used Serato before, but I think that maybe if you stick around you'll learn something, who knows. So at the end we might make a little beat. With that said, let's get on with Serato Sample. Okay, so first things first, when you load up Serato and whatever DAW you are using, you can drag or drop your audio file in here, or you can just click load audio file. So there's different couple of ways of doing it. I usually drag and drop because it's just faster for me. I just go into my recent folder here, drag the sample in, and then it's there. So there's a few things that you'll notice upon putting your sample in there. The first thing that pops out to me when I first bought it was that it tells me what key the sample is in, and that was a really big thing for me when I was buying Serato Sample. Was like I knew that it was going to tell me the key that it was in, because doing it the old way where I was using Slice X, I would have to sort of run it through Edison and then like put the those, you can find out the key through Edison through a number of different ways, and so I think the workflow sped up a lot. I think the good thing about Serato is that workflow is increased. It's just everything's so smooth and it basically does everything that you want. Okay, if you want to chop the samples yourself, you can do that, or you can come down here and you can click. This has a little a drop down list here. You can click set random, set slicer, find samples. So if I click find samples, it'll do it at random. And it's just randomly cut. It's randomly cut these like this, and that's fine. If you want to do it that way, that's fine. It'll fill up the whole grid here. Or if you come down to here, and we've already got it on set slicer. Set slicer basically means you see this number down here. That's how many beats you're going to fit between each interval. So I've got the metronome on now just to show you guys what that is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1. And so if we go to 4, it would be 4. So forth and so on. I personally have never used this feature, but I'm sure it would come in use for someone out there. So as you guys know, the way that I do it is I go through and I find the chops that I want. Like that. I put the playhead, which is that white line, I put the playhead exactly where I want it, and then I set a chop like this on my MIDI keyboard. Boom. Just like that. And that sets the chop to this key. when I let it go, it stops playing. You can actually change that with this symbol up here. So currently I've got it on this one. This one right here will change that. So I click this right here, and now it's still playing even though I've touched it. But that for me is not useful, and it's all about preferences. So for me, I put it on this top one here, so that when I'm playing it, so when I'm making other chops and I'm playing it through on here, there's actually some cutoff with the next pad or key. Another thing to mention is that when you've made chops, so I'll make another chop for instance. Like this. Boom. Each chop on here, you can set its own parameters individually. So for this one right here, it's a bit low, so I'm going to turn that up. You can turn that up here. It's a volume right here. That sounds a lot better. Another thing that I should mention is that if you're using a controller like this, I was helping out the homie, shout out Charles, recently with his setup. He has a machine, and well, first of all, I'll just let you know what I was talking about. I've got my controller here, and I want my first pad to be this one. So in order to do that, I needed to press octave down. I'm not too sure why it works like that, but that's the way it works. And it was the same on the homie's machine as well. He set up his machine in conjunction with Serato. I guess there's a function on machine where you can go octave down. I don't know, I don't use machine, but that's what he said that worked for him. And that's the case for this one as well. So if you're having trouble like lining up the keys, like if you find like you're tapping away and it's not actually lining up properly with the pads in Serato, press octave down, or just play with the octave until it comes right. So yeah, going back to controlling the individual parameters of the pads. So yeah, you've got a filter here, you've got an attack, you've got a release. So what you can do is you can key shift each individual pad as well, and time stretch. These things are incredibly useful. Serato really lets you have control, complete control over everything that you're doing. Another thing about the pads is that you can switch it from sort of chop mode, like, and what you can actually do is you can actually take the sound that you have sampled like that. You can select this little piano down here, and what that does is you can actually play it like in different tones, like all the way up the keyboard. So because I've pressed octave down, I'll just press octave up, because you need to change that if you're in this mode to normal, and you can hear. And you can hear it's just like playing it all the way up the keyboard. If you need to do that, that's a really helpful tip. Some other really good main features, for those who don't know, is that Serato will sync with your tempo project or with any sample that you drag in. So my project tempo is 85, as you can see up here in FL Studio. It's synced with FL Studio. You don't have to have it that way. You can click sync here, and that will revert right back to the original tempo of the sample. And another cool thing right here is that you can double time here, or you can half time right there as well, and you can do that as much as you need. It's quite cool. It just gives you all the options basically that you need. Another thing that it can do is reverse, but the thing is, it doesn't reverse, like it doesn't play forward in reverse. It literally plays backwards. So if I wanted to play this one, I would have to basically, well, that chop starts at the second chop. So I'd go this one. Oops. Click the second one and then reverse to play this first one backwards. It's a cool another little feature that they've got. Okay, so another cool, really cool thing is that something that I don't do enough is that I switch it to poly rather than mono. So mono basically means like it's going to cut off once you play it. Once you play the next key, it's cutting the previous one off. That's all that mono is. When you hit poly here, you can actually play things at the same time, just like we talked before about clicking this little piano right here. I can actually play more than one key at once and it won't cut off. I can hold this one down and play others like this. Anyway, you get the point. Pretty cool stuff. I think I've covered basically everything. I know this video has been a little bit choppy and I'm not super great at explaining things, but if you feel like that you've got any questions, feel free to DM me or leave a comment. The best place to catch me is on Instagram. So with all that explained, I think that I'm kind of in the mood to make like a short little loop or something with this sample, because the sample is actually quite fire.